What is up, you guys? The Fallout What If here. Today I'm doing the what if Deku was the reincarnation of the God of War, or Kratos. Now, you guys liked my older videos, so I'm going to pick two videos to do. To see which one you guys want to do. So I'll put that on a poll, and whatever you guys pick is the one I'll do. I'm going to either pick what if Deku was the reincarnation of Naruto, or what if what if Naruto was, how should I say it? What's the word? What if Naruto was abandoned by the village? So hopefully you guys like it, and I'm going to start the video now. So, where we last left off, Deku was taken to, he was taken to the hospital. He was going to be taken to the hospital because he was still kind of sick, and not only that, he did technically fought the Nomu, and while fighting the Nomu, Shigaraki still attacked him, and his arms are messed up in a way. I mean, they don't look the same as they once did. If you guys remembered, Deku, he pretty much fought, and then the Nomu grabbed him, so he couldn't do a thing. And while that was happening, Shigaraki grabbed him and, said, like, I'm going to screw you over, and after that I'm going to kill you, but first I'm going to torture you. Deku did not like that, so, his hands got, burnt. Or not burnt, they got, how do I say it? Basically, his arms are cracked. Like, around his whole body, it's kind of disintegrated in some aspects. He did heal, because he did have his healing ability. He had the ability to heal. But, yeah, he still couldn't... He couldn't heal those wounds. So, he went, and he basically... What's the word? During the 2 weeks, 3 days after the whole Nomu incident, yeah, he was perfectly fine again. His vital signs were okay. Everything about him was top notch. So what I was going to say is, oh boy, sorry about that. Deku, he goes and he actually tries to find the dwarves. But the dwarves find him first. Well, they actually meet him after, going into, walking up and actually knocking on the door. And this is when Deku says, wait, Brock? And where's Sindri at? Brock says, he decided to, he didn't want to come over here because we've heard about all the diseases and stuff. So, yeah, you just got me. Aren't you glad? Deku hugs Brock and says, Brock, it's been so long. How you been, buddy? And, Brock, having, how should I say it? I forgot what the word is. Yeah, Brock is kind of weirded out because Deku has, what's the word? Oh man, I forgot what the word was. But he is kind of weirded out because because Deku because Kratos, the God of War, he's never done this before. All he's ever done was handshake. He shook his hand. And the fact that we have, Deku here just saying, oh, it's been so well to see you, buddy. I missed you so much. Brock is like, sheesh, this is not Kratos. So, after that, Deku, after the whole Deku incident with Brock, he goes into the house and tells Brock he needs a couple of favors, which Brock says, alright, what do you need? Deku says, well, I need your help with some stuff. One being my actual armor. And Brock said, oh yeah, I forgot that, you were fond about your old armor. And Deku says, well, a couple of things there were, heirlooms. And this is when he says, I get you. Now, what is it that you need me to get? Well, he says, I need my old skirt back. This is when Brock was like, oh, you need your skirt. And Deku says, I'm serious, Brock. Come on now. This is when, Brock says, now that I think about it, you kind of did have your son's personality. And this is when Deku says, I do, huh? Wow, is this what it means to feel like a child? And this is when Brock says, I forget you're a Spartan. I forget about that, but well, I'll go over there and get it. 5 seconds later, alright, I got it for you. And Deku says, I forget you could do that. Yeah, what can you say? I like this, magic that we usually do. But, is there anything else? This is when Deku says, I need you to, to grab a couple of chains and start heating them up. Don't melt them, just, I need to do some stuff. This is when Brock says, like, what kind of stuff? And this is when Katsuki and Mizuki basically see Deku with an old dude, and this is when he says, oh, this must be your friend, and Brock says, hey, which one is the one you're going after? And this is when Deku smacks him in the head, and this is when he says, okay, I deserve it, I deserve that. I mean, I'm not gonna say anything else, but Deku's like, come on, Brock. And this is when Katsuki says, yeah, why are you talking about, burning up some chains? And Deku says, well, I need to relive my old life. This is when Deku says, I haven't told you before, but a long time ago, I was, this is when Brock says, hey, come on now. Really don't need to talk about that just yet. And Deku says, wait, why not? And this is when Brock says, the man who was usually a pest and called himself the All-Father, oh yeah, he's back. Deku was just like, wait, what? Well, what do you mean, he's back? I thought I killed him. This is when they're like, wait, you killed somebody? And Deku says, out of context. Deku is like, how do you know he's alive? I mean, after all the fighting and stuff. This is when Brock says, yeah, you may have killed him, but he actually had one plan he still had one trick over his sleeve. He actually came back alive minutes after that, just to put a spell on him. Well, to put a spell on himself. After that, hearing about Freya being alive again, oh yeah, he made sure to put his soul somewhere else, and it's in this world. And Deku says, it's in the world now. Oh, fudge. Alright. Ah, sheesh. Wait a minute. All-Father. What is that? Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Okay. Deku was like, okay, so I know probably who the All-Father is already. This is when Brock says, wait, how? How did you know? And Deku says, oh, I know, there's a big fight, and somebody told me about the All-Father, and yeah, that kind of tipped me over already. I didn't believe it at first. Maybe this could have been a prank, or somebody thought of themselves as high and mighty. But yeah, sheesh, now I gotta deal with this. Alright, so this is when Deku just says, alright, Brock, I need you to hurry up and burn up the chain, or to heat up some chains, because I need to, relive my life. And this is when Brock says, alright, I'll take probably 2 minutes. I have to go back. And Deku says, I'll be waiting. Now, while 2 minutes were there, Mitsuki and, Katsuki, they start talking to Deku. And Deku talks to them and says, look, I understand that I'm not who I once was anymore. But I'm not going to leave you two. 3. And then after that, remembering 4. I don't want to leave you guys. So I'm going to be the same old that I once was. And Deku, he starts talking to, sorry about that. Hold on here. Okay, that was not someone I know, at least. I really need to delete my social media accounts. I really don't know what these are nowadays, but other than that, now, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. Okay, so Deku, after fighting his inner demons and talking to Mitsuki and the rest, saying, I won't leave you two. I won't leave any of you guys. I care about you all. And Deku just keeps talking and saying, no matter what, we're all in this together. I hope you can accept me like this. This is when Mitsuki hugs him and says, don't worry. I will love all of you, even if you turn out to be a god or something like that. I still don't believe this whole mumbo jumbo. But hey, as long as you're safe, it doesn't matter to me. And this is when Deku says, thank you. Now, after that whole thing starts, Deku decides to, how do I say it? Okay, so Deku decides to talk to freaking Brock after he comes back. And Brock says, here are the chains. And Deku says, alright, let's go outside. And this is when Deku says, I need you to wrap these around me. Now, this is when, since Toga and, Bakugo are outside because they're just pretty much bored, and they usually just talk to each other and be like, oh, so how's your day going? And it's like, they have these kind of conversations, which is very wholesome. They hear about what's happening, and Deku is saying, I'm going to do some stuff right now, which involves my hands. And like I said, Mitsuki and the rest, like, they all, like, talk to him and say, what are you going to do? And Brock says, hey, don't worry about it. Let the boy just do what he has to do. This is when Deku says, boy. Oh gosh, I realize how, oh man, I don't like being called boy at all. This is when freaking Deku is like, alright. I gotta apologize to Atreus one day. Man, I really do. Gosh. Oh man. Anyway, so just put the chains around me. And this is when he starts to do it. Deku is starting to basically feel the pain and feel the heat of those chains that once wrapped around him before. This is when Deku starts to, like, how do I say it? He starts to be weak in the knees. Well, to become weak, he's becoming weak in the knees. And it's like, oh boy, it hurts a lot. And Deku and Bakugo is saying, what are you doing? That's idiotic. It's stupid. Why would you do this to yourself? And Deku says, it's alright. Oh boy. It hurts a lot, I have to admit. It's not what it used to feel like. I'm doing alright though. And then he starts to put it on his other hand. And then this is when Brock says, I noticed that your arm looks different even before I put the chains on. Deku says, people now have better abilities than I would ever think of. And now that I know that I have to become stronger and wiser than I once was. I mean, my other self can actually win against anyone, but now I'm by myself. Well, I got family, and I got you guys. How's Mimir doing? And this is when they basically, Brock talks about Mimir, saying that Mimir, he's still alive, but after your death and the Atreus' death, yeah, this is, he's not the same. He missed you two, so I'll bring him next time I come around here. Alright? Deku says, alright. Now, he takes off the chains, and his skin looks different again. Yeah, sure, it's purplish because of Shigaraki, but now it looks kind of the same as it once was in his God of War series. Oh boy, so Deku, he becomes, well, like his old self and starts wrapping them up in bandages. And Deku just keeps doing that, and, well, Bakugo is like, we have to get you to the hospital now. I mean, that was stupid. Why would you ever think about doing that? And Deku says, you do not know my ways, Bakugo. I understand this looks very weird. To me, this was weird as well. But instead of having my hands look like they're disintegrated, my old self, he had his hands wrapped around in chains. Well, chains were wrapped around his hands and they burned, symbolizing himself as a slave to another god. Now, I understand that all of you guys are just weirded out by the mention of being a slave to a god being good all the time. Not all the time there's a good God, but not all the time there's a God that's truly evil. But I know that there's one person that I have to fight. And this is when Bakugo says, "Who is that?" And this is what he says: Odin. He's also known as the All-Father. The All-Father, the king of, well, the king of Asgard, the basically the head honcho of all Norse mythology. I have to fight him soon. Or later. Hopefully, once I'm actually trained all the way. I have to use all my weapons again. This is when Toga says, "But we're family still. We'll protect each other." And Deku says, "You don't understand him. He's evil and he's wicked. He'll kill us because he'll kill you guys because you're still my family. He'll go after you and everybody else that I care about. Heck, he doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all basically, it doesn't matter who I am, or it doesn't matter who you are to him. If I'm associated with you in any shape or way, or form, I'm going to be the one. Well, you guys are going to be paying the price because I didn't finish him off all the way." And Bakugo says, "We're going to be with you no matter what, you idiots." Katsuki basically smacks Deku, but Deku basically grabs her hand, and she starts saying that you matter to us. Chogo hugs him from the back, saying that it doesn't matter at all. As long as we're with you, nothing can stop us. And, basically, Mitsuki holds him and says, "You're still somebody I truly care about. Sure, we may not be blood relatives, but that doesn't mean that I don't think of you any less. I care about you, Izuku. And your mother would be ashamed if I just gave up on you. So please, keep living, and let us be there fighting with you." So, Deku says, "Alright, I'll fight with you, I'll fight to help you guys. And you guys help me as well." Give me a second here. So anyway, after all that, and after tears were shed and hearts warmed, we head off to the we head off to Deku starting to train and basically having his siblings, or technically the Bakugo family. We have that right there. They start training with each other with weapons and stuff. And, well, as usual, let's see. I'll let Bakugo have the gauntlets. They're all going to be sharing the weapons, but Bakugo will use the gauntlets more. Katsuki, she would use... Let's see. Oh boy, let's see right here. You know what? She's going to be using the freaking shield of arms, which isn't that bad actually. And let's see what else. Toga? Oh boy, let's see. There are all those other weapons that I could give her, I think. You know what? Let her use the Leviathan X, because I think it'll be kind of cute for her just to be like, just instead of slashy or stabby, it'll be choppy. That would be Toga. I'm 100% that would be Toga. And let's see. What else? We head off to Mina now after like the training, and they're training. The three of them are training by themselves, like to see what they can do on their own, because Deku isn't going to be always there for them. So it's kind of good if they don't actually do too much training with him. Be like, oh, I don't know what to do. Help me all the time. No, they gotta be independent. If they're independent, this means that they can actually create ideas for themselves. But this is also a good opportunity for Deku to go and talk to, well, for Deku to talk to freaking Mina. Now, Mina, well, she gets upset with Deku because after all this, he never actually called her, and she didn't actually hear from him. She didn't know what was going to happen with Deku after that. Sure, she went on to talk with Bakugo and, Toga and Katsuki, but they at times didn't know where he was either, because Deku was by himself for that week, for basically the rest of the weekend and the rest of the week. It was only after probably a Saturday and a Sunday. That's when Deku started to talk with Mina. Basically, she got mad and got upset, saying that he didn't have any time for her, or not only that, she was also upset that he didn't actually ask for her help at all, because she heard about what Deku has done, and she gets upset, saying, "Was this all I was to you? Did you not think that I didn't care at all? I tried so hard to find you, but you weren't there." And Deku was like, "It's not that. It's kind of hard for you to understand." It's like, this is when Mina gets up even more angry and saying, "How do you not think I wouldn't? How do you think I won't understand? I've known you for most of my life now, and do you think that I won't actually try to understand you now?" Deku says, "You don't get it. Yeah, sure, I do care about you a lot, but I also have to make you understand that this isn't because of you or anything like that. This is because of something that's going to happen one day." And this is when she says, "Oh, so it's going to happen one day, but you're not actually going to need me. I see." And this is when Deku just grabs her and he gets upset and just saying, "What's your problem? I'm trying to tell you right now that this isn't something for you to know at the moment. I told them because, they're family." And she gets upset, saying, "You don't think I'm family too?" And Deku says, "Of course I think you're family." And this is where she says, "Why the hell do you not talk to me at all nowadays? Heck, even when I try to talk to you at school, you sometimes don't even acknowledge me." And Deku gets understandably sad because of this, but he gets mad, saying, This is kind of a hard thing to even explain." And she says, "Do you not even care about me at all?" And Deku just grabs her and freaking starts kissing her. He starts kissing her, alright? So, while this is happening, Mina's like, her eyes turn into heart-shaped pupils. And this is when she basically pushes him off of him and is like, "Oh boy. Okay, you care about me. You care about me a lot. So much." And so Deku says, "Look, I don't want to involve anybody else with something painful. This is something that I don't want anybody else to find out, to include you. would mean the risk of hurting you. And this is when she says, it doesn't matter to me whether I'm hurt or not. Even if I die, I still want to be with you. And Deku is like, you don't understand. And she says, I do understand that you're scared. And Deku starts, trying to reason himself, saying, you can't let this happen. And this is when she says, even if you're scared, I'm still with you. You're somebody I care about the most. And Deku says, she's going to say it, is she? She's going to say it. And this is when she basically says, because I love you so much, Deku. I love you so much that it hurts me that you didn't even think about me helping you out. Deku says, oh boy. Okay. Mina, I'm going to ask for your help now. If you don't want to, I understand. After all, we did kind of fight, and she basically had no time to waste, and she was like, yep. And Deku says, you haven't even heard the full thing. And she says, I don't have to. I know that you're going to be the one that is going to marry me one day. And he says, marry you? And she says, yes, you took my first kiss, you take responsibility. And Deku's like, oh, come on now. But that was, we were in the moment, and she's like, doesn't matter anymore, you still kissed me. And this is when Deku is like, fine. I understand. Look. I will help you out. And I promise that, that me and you, I will marry you as well. And this is when Mina says, wait, as well? And this is when, this is when he's like, oh yeah, I also have to date Toga and Katsuki, because, they kind of, well, forced it upon me. And she's like, well, those tramps. And this is when Toga and Katsuki sneeze, and this is when they're like, I feel the disturbance on the force. Okay, so Deku and Mina start talking about what truly is happening, and all it took was 5 minutes for Mina to be like, what? Because she doesn't understand this at all. Why wouldn't she? Because the god of freaking war was talking to her about actually him being a god. And yeah, so she says, I'm going to need some time, but I'm going to, like I said, I will help you out. I just didn't know. Oh boy. So Deku, after all that, Deku starts to basically, Deku starts to go and talk to freaking. Deku starts to go and talk to what's their face, Toga, and she was like, you finally did it now. And Deku says, what do you mean? She says, you finally told Toga, Mina, you're going to marry her. And Deku says, wait a minute, were you following me? And Toga says, no, I will never follow you and do all that sneaky stuff. And Deku says, you're right. And she says, honestly, I wouldn't, I didn't do it, I swear. And Deku says, so how do you know? And this is when she basically runs up to him and plants a kiss on his face. After that, basically, well, Deku starts to basically see Toga with pink lips instead of her regular lips, or pinker lips, and this is when Fudge, hold on. This is when Toga shows Deku lipstick by kissing him, and she says, this was Mina's lipstick. I know. And this is when Deku's like, oh boy. And this is when Toga says, yeah. So, when that all happened, basically Deku says, oh, well, Katsuki doesn't have to know at the very moment. And Katsuki, well, like a ninja, she basically was behind him. And Deku says, she's behind me, isn't she? And this is when Katsuki says, the only reason why I'm not calling you a three-timer is because we actually like Mina, and she's dear to us as well. So, yeah, you have a lot of responsibility now. And Deku says, oh boy, I guess this is the responsibility of a god. Yeah, this is the responsibility of a god in a way. Now, give me a moment here, people. Alright, sorry about that. Now, what I'm going to say right now is, at this moment, Deku, he's okay with it. And what do I mean he's okay with it? I mean, Deku is okay with the fact that he has 3 people that he loves, and they love him. The fact that they now have, he has 2 lovers, it makes him happy, in a way. Knowing that he doesn't have to be alone. But the thing about, this is, there's another person that's longed for Deku for quite a while, but she's not true to her feelings. And it's a crazy one. It's a crazy bet on this. It's a weird one, to be honest. She doesn't care about men. She just wants to be with him and cares about him. Now, even I know you guys are probably gonna be like, who is this person? Do we know her? You know her very well. She cares about Deku, and all that good stuff right there. But I'm not gonna talk about it just yet. So, now after all that happening, Deku talks to freaking Toga and says, even though it's kind of weird calling, the person I love my sibling, as far as I remember, I grew up in a time where siblings still had that kind of love. So don't think about it as weird. I still care about you at that regard. I care about you very much. But if I accidentally call you my sister or anything like that, or somebody, a family, and this is which Toga says, it's alright. And Deku says, are you sure? I'll try to stop it if I can. And she says, no, it's alright. Because she whispers in his ear, saying, even if, you call me family, I'm still going to be your wife. And nothing you say can stop that. And Deku's like, oh, okay, well, that's all well and good. Yeah, pretty much it's pretty simple that way. Now, after a couple of days of them actually talking to each other, Mitsuki says, "Oh, how are you guys doing?" And like, checking up on like her kids and stuff, and hearing, "Oh, we're going to marry Deku one day," and Mitsuki is happy for them. Mitsuki's okay with this. She's understanding that, like girls will always like Deku and they care about him very much, and nothing actually, it doesn't bother her. She does look sad in times, having nobody in her life anymore. I mean, even though she used to go for Hisashi, she's still sad and sometimes. I guess missing somebody is sad, and it's hard, and it breaks somebody's heart. And even though she knows that he's in a good place, and even though he knows she's in a good place, these two weren't meant for each other. Like they cared about each other, but they weren't meant for each other. As sad as that, as hard as that is for them to believe. Now, Deku is going to wake up, and then after that he goes to school, because it's already done with, so there's really no need for like him to there's no need for him to be like, "Oh, alright, well let's just like wait for a while." No, Deku's just gonna like go by himself to school. Because what's going to happen is that they're going to the USJ Festival, the UA Sports Festival. Sports Festival. Sorry about that. Oh, sheesh. Now, what happens after that is... Sorry about that, that's not what I meant. But, Deku goes to school by himself, so he can get ready mentally for what's about to come. He goes and All Might talks to him, because he's actually, he's already going there to school, because, teachers go early to school, because, they're teachers, that's their job. And Deku, he meets All Might, and All Might says, Well, hello, young man. How are you today?" And Deku says, "I'm doing well. I'm doing really well now. Now that I think about it." Deku looks at All Might, and he's looking down. All Might says, "What is wrong, young man?" And Deku thinks, "Look, I don't know what to do." And this is when All Might says, "What do you mean? You can talk to me about stuff like this. You are my student after all." Deku says, How do I believe I'm something if I doubt myself?" And this is when All Might says, so you want to know that? Well, kid, it's hard to believe in yourself at times. I mean, every time I try, I usually have doubts. But don't get me wrong, that's not why what I mean. Deku says, "What is it then?" And this is what All Might says: to have doubts is to know that you are thinking about yourself. You care about what is to come. You have doubts because you fear something truly powerful within you. And this is when Deku says, It's not that I fear it. It's the fact that I don't know if I'm the right person to use it. And this is when All Might says, yes, but if you didn't actually, if you didn't tell me to give it to your brother, young Bakugo, then that meant that you truly had something within you to show that you were even more powerful, more stronger, more ferocious than you had anticipated. And Deku is thinking to himself, I do, don't I? All Might says, do not fear the power within you, Deku. You yourself can be a hero if you believe in it hard enough. You've went past your limits before. You inspired me to keep pushing myself. And Deku says, what do you mean? All Might says, after you were passed out, the villains were still coming after us. Because you were passed out, the villains went after you. We all tried to protect you, but it seemed that you were even stronger than you had realized. I told people not to tell you because we didn't know how this would affect you. And, well, a man was right beside you the whole time. It was so creepy. It was horrifying to see somebody look so evil. And this is when Deku says, evil? What do you mean? Who are you talking about? All Might says, I do not know who he is. He had a red marking, just like you. I figured that was probably, I don't know. It looked like if he were to be your dad, because both of you have the same mark, the mark, that red mark on the Kratos' face. And he's talking about Kratos, and Deku says, what did I do? This is when All Might says, you got up. Against all odds, your arms are still bleeding. Your face was basically sleeping, but your eyes were awake. And it seemed that somebody kept pushing you, and he kept making you walking you every single step of the way. And you were just standing there, on both feet, just looking down at your enemies. And the moment you raised up that weird axe of yours, you slammed it down and stopped all of them from coming in an instant. It looked like you were pushing them back. I don't know what that is. I'm not going to stand here and say you shouldn't have done anything wrong, because you didn't do anything wrong. You protected yourself, and I'm glad you did. This is when Deku is confused, but he doesn't see anything bad about what All Might's saying. Now, what I'm going to say is Deku, he's already been talking with everybody else about this. Once, people come, to the school, and he asked them what they seen. They pretty much said the same, they kept saying the same thing. Bakugo said that he was pretty cool, and the rest of the basically the rest of his siblings were like, "Oh yeah, you were weird. You were like strong, and you were powerful, and you were off your rockers. You were off your rocker." And Deku says, "Okay. I don't know what that means, but I don't really know what that means at all. But I want to say this. I'm sorry if I caused any of you guys trouble." And this is when they respect Deku a little bit more. Like, he doesn't know what happened to him, but he really thinks that he actually hurt them. Which makes them, like, say, no, you didn't do nothing wrong. Sure, it was scary in a way, but they didn't, like, how should I say it? He wasn't paying attention, because all he was thinking to himself is, did I hurt any of them? And it's like, yeah, they were kind of cold and freezing up, but they were pushed back as well. Some of the students were pushed back, and Deku's like realizing how truly strong and dangerous this could be, and it's like he needs to accept it. So after all that, the only other thing that All Might said was, even though they were still coming after you after that, only a few villains thought not to go and mess with you, even after you destroyed the Nomu, even after you got badly injured on your arms, you still kept going. And that is what a true hero is supposed to do. They fight and they go to make sure that the rest are protected. Deku says, no matter what, All Might, I will protect them with my life. And All Might says, oh, look at that. You are now being more heroic than I was at your age. And Deku says, it really doesn't matter to me at the moment. I just want to get strong. I want to get strong enough to make sure that my friends and my family are just, protected. Give me a second here. So, anyway, Deku pretty much, after all that, tells All Might he's going to do well. It may suck. He may have to get stronger than he already is, but he's going to protect the world. He's going to shoulder the pain of everybody like he once did. And All Might says, I believe in you. If your brother can believe in you, then I will do the same. But make sure you don't do nothing foolish, like try to find a fight. And Deku says, believe me, I can handle it. And not only that, I'm not gonna go do anything stupid. Especially cause a fight that I'm not gonna cause a fight. If that's what you mean. Now, after hearing all that, All Might says, good. Now, it's time for you to go get dressed. Since you're already going to be, since you're already school early, we might as well let you do what you gotta do. Deku, now in the present, is actually hearing the roar he's hearing the roar and the cheering of the UA, like the people around, the adults and all that stuff. They're cheering them on, and after that, there's like the heroes who are going to try to see which one is trying to, like, how should I say it? I forgot what the word is, but he's looking at the people who's going to now fit in the role of UA. like, they want to have sidekicks and all that stuff, and they're trying to get to them first. You know, like in canon. But Deku is like is already dressed, and the other ones are doing what they gotta do. This is when Toga walks right behind him and says, "Gotcha." And Deku is like, "Oh, hey Toga, why are you on top of me, or grabbing me from behind?" This is when freaking Toga says, "Well, I just wanted to talk to you, and I don't know, just wanted to talk to you." And Deku says, "Alright, what do you want to talk about?" This is when Toga says, "Well, I know that, we're going to have to verse each other probably sooner or later." And this is when sorry about that. This is when Deku says, "Oh, why is that?" And this is when she says, "Well, they're going to see the number one hero. They want to see the number one student who can do the best of the best. And by having that, they're going to be put us against each other. So if I fight you, I just want to tell you that I'll try my best to, earn your respect." And Deku hugs her, and she says, "Deku? Are you okay?" Deku says, "You have my full respect already. You don't need to beat me. But if you want to have an honorable fight with me, I will accept it as well. You're somebody I care about, Toga. There's no way I'm going to just stop respecting you if you lose." And Todoroki hears this, and he talks to Deku, asking him the same old, "Are you my father's, are you All Might's love child?" And not only that, he noticed that Deku had fire, so he's like, all right, are you my brother?" Because he talks to Deku, and by technicality, he did use fire and ice, so it wouldn't be that far of a stretch for him to be like, "Oh, okay, you use fire objects and ice objects. So maybe you're my brother." And Deku's like, no, I'm not your brother. And that old fiasco goes by. Now, after that, Deku talks with the other students, and they all go get ready, and Bakugo has to do the speech, since by technicality he was the number one student to do the exams. So Bakugo stands there, and he says, "All right, most of you guys aren't going to win, and a lot of you guys aren't going to lose either. You will be in the middle. The only people I know who probably can win is my brother, my sisters, and that's pretty much it. We'll probably be up in the top 5, or in the top 3, or whatever category you're gonna put us in. But yeah, I feel like you guys are gonna have to step up your game in order to compete with us." And this is when they're like, "Oh, all right, this is going to be a challenge." And Monoma has a big freaking mouth. Monoma has a big freaking mouth, and he starts yammering along the lines of, "Oh, Class 1A thinks they're hot shit because they fought against villains. It's like, we could do that too. It's just the fact that we weren't given that chance." And this is when Toga says, "You don't know what happened. my brothers fought against very strong villains, and if it was you, you wouldn't stand a chance. And this is when Monoma says, "Oh yeah, what is your quirk again?" And she says, "Well, I absorb blood, and then after that, once I absorb that blood, I become, well, I can become that person." And this is what he says, "Oh, so you have a villainous quirk. You have a villainous quirk." Toga says, "No, I don't." And Zaku sees this, and Bakugo says, "Hey, bastard." This is when Monoma says, "What is it that you want?" This is when he's like, "Stop messing with our sister." And this is when people are like, "Oh, so she can't handle herself, huh? Oh, what was all that stuff you were talking about beating us?" And they're like, "What, villain? What are you going to do?" This is when they start pushing, Toga, kind of like trying to get her to the back. And this is when the Class 1A is like starting to have a fuss over like the other classes saying, hey, stop messing with our friend. And not a lot of them care. And this is when Deku tells everybody in Class 1A to go up to the stage. And this is when Deku, even though he doesn't fully accept the godhood within him, even though he has those doubts, nothing matters more to him than somebody hurting his family. Nobody messes with his family and thinks that they can get away with it. And Toga knows that they pressed, in Dragon Ball Z terms, abridged, they pressed the Goku button. And Deku pretty much starts grabbing his axe. And everybody's like saying, where did he get that from? And he picks it up. And this is when they just like start seeing Deku speak different words. And they see a tornado, or basically a cyclone of ice everywhere. And not only that, a lot of the students are basically cold. Even Monoma is kind of like not frozen, but he's like, what the hell is this? And everybody's like amazed on how Deku could stop all, but basically, let's say, well, because of the whole race and everything else, I'd say probably around 600 to 700 students, basically of Class 1A. Deku, let's see. Deku is like, I will not allow anyone to bully or hurt or harass my sister, the people I care about, so long as I live. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your name is. You mess with my family, you're messing with me. And the biggest mistake you already did was messed with me. And everybody is like cold, getting cold. And Deku says, now, probably half of you didn't do it. But none of you try to stop them. What makes you a hero? And everybody's actually silent, so everybody can technically hear Deku, especially with the stern voice of a god. He says, how shameful all of you decided to try to be a hero, but yet you bully an innocent girl because of her quirk. Not only that, you don't even know what she's been through in life, and yet you have the gall to stand there, pushing her down while you try to putting yourselves up there. I don't want to see any of you guys succeed anymore. And this is when he goes up to the mic and he says, are you willing to put down your lives on the, oh sheesh, sorry about that. Are you willing to put your lives down on the line? Are you willing to put your lives on the line to save students, to save heroes, to save innocent people? Because that's what it's all about. Putting others before you. But yeah, most of you just treated her as if she was nothing more than a feral animal, instead of looking at her good side. And this is when he says, if you're going to stay in this competition, you're gonna have to go through me as well. So, what's it going to be? Are you going to stand down? Are you gonna stand down? Or are you gonna fight? And only basically 400 students left. So not a lot of them actually cared a lot. But the rest of the students that were like, oh sheesh, never mind. We're facing somebody who basically stopped everybody in mere seconds with a cyclone of ice. Deku says, good. At least I know now the people I'm facing aren't cowards. And this is when everybody starts is about to do the race in a couple of minutes. And this is when Toga just basically tackles him, basically actually pushing him off of the stage by accident, and her just her and Deku landing on the thing, and basically Toga giving him a kiss. And this is when everybody's like, wait, what? What's happening here? I thought these two were siblings. And this is when people are yelling, why is her sister kissing him? And this is when Bakugo has to say, those are my step siblings. And this is when people are like, Nani? What the hell? Can you run that by me again, mister? Yeah, they're pretty much not understanding that they're siblings. They're not actual real siblings, but they treat each other just as well. Now, Deku, he starts to go and get up and just, tells Toga, don't do that again. And she says, all right, I won't do it again. And Deku says, thank you, in front of people. And this is when he's like, all right, fair point. Now, the race is about to begin. And everybody is seeing Deku in action already. And in action, whatever. The point remains the same, people. Deku, they say, on your marks, get set, and then after that, go. And this is when hold on here. Okay. This is when pretty much all the students are running and stuff, and Todoroki does his whole ice thing still. And oh boy. Oh, okay. So he's going and he's running, and other students are, doing the same thing. Bakugo and Todoroki are already in first, second, and third, and in front of Deku, and then behind Deku, because they're pretty much evenly matched at the moment. Bakugo using his movements, and not only that, his using I guess 15%. He actually has 20% now of One For All, so he's pretty much speedy. And Deku is just running as fast as he can, trying to get there. And this is when Todoroki is using a little bit of fire, just a little hints of fire, to boost himself while pushing himself with ice. And this is when Ida's trying to get there as well. But with the three of them, exploding and leaving ice behind, and one just running like freaking fast. Yeah, it's pretty much it's pretty much the three of them going toe to toe. Although Ida did technically catch up, he still was like not last, but he was like falling behind. And now after that, the three of them are still trying to do what they have to do, and they're pretty much going through the obstacles. Deku has an idea, saying, "Oh, you guys aren't going to like this," but he pretty much starts grabbing the chain, jumping up in the air, and then pulling himself at a fast pace. And then once he's there, he actually turns his Blaze of Chaos into the gauntlets and then slams it down to the ground, causing an earthquake, causing the traps to start exploding everywhere. And this is when they're pretty much covered in pink stuff and dust. Now, Deku, that was technically cheaty, but not actually cheating, because Deku technically used all those bombs and cannon to launch himself, which nobody said anything to, so I think it's okay if I were to do something like that here. Now, Deku is pretty much keeps going, and this is when Bakugo says, "Hey, you bastard! You weren't supposed to do that!" And he's trying to explode Deku, while Deku pretty much just says, "Hey, I have every right to do that. You have, oh man," he wish he could say out loud, but, you know, he doesn't want people to know. But this is when they're like, they have this like mental fight with each other, just like, "Yeah, well, you said this, and I said this," and Deku's like, "Oh, really? Is that how it is?" But, yeah, technically, Deku and Bakugo get there. Deku being first, and after that, Bakugo. After that, Todoroki. But, let me see. Give me a second here, people. Alright, so, sorry about that. I had to do something, but anyway. Deku now has to do the fighting. I would do the cavalry battle, but it would not be as fun. And if you guys want to talk about it, what I'm going to say is, while Deku technically he's technically the cow, he's like the horse, because he has 1,000,000 points right now. He's technically going to be the horse, and they're going the people around him are going to be the cavalry. So it's like Toga, Katsuki, Ochako, and Deku. Now, no, not Ochako, because Ochako's trying to strive for her own dreams. And Deku would pick Mei Hatsune. So while that's happening, Deku is going to be, fighting, and he's going to protect the front, because he is technically the tank of he's like the ultimate tank right now at the moment. Now, while everybody's going to try to come after him, Deku uses an ability that he hasn't used in a long time. Like, he hasn't used at any time, which was clone. Clone. He made a black substance of himself, technically Black Kratos, and he makes Black Izuku, and it's like a shadow of himself. And technically Deku, by all accounts, can actually move around, while having somebody that looks like that looks like Deku, and doesn't actually move, to basically, stand there, because what he's doing is technically not cheating. So, he goes around and starts basically shooting out his ice attacks and his fire attacks everywhere. Not only that, he's using lightning to shock people, and pretty much using the boots of Hermes to go move around people, actually stealing some of their headbands. and pretty much pushing them off of their freaking people, of their horses, or the people, off of the people, and pretty much he pretty much takes out half of them, which actually has only a little bit of people now. So they're like, okay, we gotta stop this because he's gonna take out like pretty much everybody if he goes this route. So like, okay, Deku, you won. You won. So did Bakugo's team and Todoroki's team. Pretty much, like I said, pretty much everybody still does this whole thing in canon. Pretty much everybody. So, Mina congratulates him and says, you're pretty good, you're still pretty good at doing what you're supposed to do. Although, you shouldn't have taken out a lot of people. That was, the mess up that you did. Now, while this is the whole thing is happening, Todoroki is now like convinced that this man he has to beat him. He has to beat him because everything he's been doing right now, he's going to be looked at, and he's going to be, he's going to be ashamed of himself if he can't even stand up to Deku, or at least take him on. Deku looks at him and says, oh, hey, Todoroki. Todoroki looks at him and says, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to beat you with everything I have, except my father's side. And Deku says, your father's side? Why? You never actually told me why you don't use fire often. Yeah, sure, I've seen you use it a little bit at times. Or just a little bit. But you never actually use it. Is there any reason why? And Todoroki says, the reason why is because it was his fault. And Deku's like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? This is when Todoroki says, you see this scar that I have? He was the cause of he was the cause of this pain. I can still feel it every day, every night, as a reminder of my failure, And also, it reminds me of the fact that I wasn't strong enough to protect her. Now, Deku looks at this and says, Todoroki, I don't know what's happened to you in the past, but I know that you don't have to go through this alone. And this is what Todoroki says, I'm fine. It's alright if I go through this alone. And Deku grabs him again and says, no, it's not. You don't have to go through this darkness. And this is what Todoroki says, how do you know what it's like to be a father, to have a father like that? I heard Bakugo say that you're just orphans. That you and your sister Togo are technically adopted, meaning you don't know what it's like to actually have a father like that. And Deku is about to say something, but Todoroki says, save your breath. I'm going to fight you, and I'm going to beat you with my cold side, not my father's side. And Deku says, okay. And this is when, once he's gone, Deku says, Todoroki, you really have no idea what I've gone through. But now it's my turn to save you. Okay, so now all that happens, Deku pretty much, has to fight Shinzo. I would focus about Bakugo's fights, but we'll focus on that later. Now, after the whole thing with Deku and Todoroki, he has to fight Shinzo. And Shiso, I don't know what his name is. Still don't, to this day. It's pretty hard to say the word at all. But Deku is like walking up to the stage, and then Ojiro told him what not to do, but Deku's like, I got you. This is when he's freaking what's his face Shiswo basically says, oh, it's a good thing that you're here now. I'm gonna fight you, and I gotta win, so that way I can do what I have to do. And Deku starts walking up to him, and is running up to him, and basically he says, I don't care who you are. You made my friend quit. Or you made a buddy of mine quit. And he was supposed to fight in the tournament, but because of you, he decided to not actually fight on his own. And this is when Deku just talks to, actually tells him all that. And this is when Shiswo says, it was technically on his accord. He moved his body, and he technically paid the price. It's not my fault whether he decides to give up or not. And this is when Deku says, that's not the point. And this is when Shiso says, sorry about that. Shiso says, oh boy, it's a good thing that, the human mind, when people talk, they have to always respond, or they don't. It was just by coincidence that you had to respond to me saying that. Now, there's no hatred that I have against you or your class. It's just people who think that quirks are everything. And this is when Deku says nothing. And he is being told to walk. And this is when he moves a couple of feet. And Deku just looks at him and starts running towards him again. This is when he says, wait, what are you? This shouldn't be possible. And Deku just basically grabs his shield. It's basically like this. He has a mark on him now that is like, oh, I can teleport things onto my hands or on me. That way I don't actually have to have it on my hand or anything like that. I can just use it whenever I feel like it. So he grabs the shield and he basically bashes his face onto it, and he's on the ground now. And Deku says, get up. And Shiso says, what? And Deku says, get up. Now, Shiso basically is confused, saying, how are you still moving? You should have been stopped already. And Deku says, you don't know who I am, do you? You may think you stopped me of those couple of seconds, but really, you weren't even close. It's good to be back. This is when he's like, what's the meaning of this? Deku says, oh, I should have told you already, but I guess I wasn't paying attention. What happens is, when you use your ability, it doesn't mean I have to automatically listen to you. What that means is, I actually have the ability to push myself and my mind through its limits, stopping you. And he's pretty much just trying to say, I'm not going to tell you because, I don't know you. But he pretty much, he doesn't tell Shinso anything, but he says that it doesn't matter whether you have a quirk or not, as long as you keep true to yourself. That's all that matters, to me at least. And Shiso says, I tried, but I keep failing. people don't like my quirk. And this is when Deku says, it doesn't matter if they like your quirk or not. You can actually interrogate people. Because it took me all I had to just break through it. Which means you actually have what it takes to be a hero. You just gotta believe in yourself. Because even I believe in you now. Shitsu's like, wait, you believe in me? And Deku says, of course. Sure, was it mean? Yes. Did I not like being mind controlled for that couple of seconds? Yes. But that doesn't mean it doesn't mean that I have any negative comments on your quirk. I believe it's pretty awesome. I just hope one day you actually think the same thing about your quirk as I do. And Shiso basically looks at him and says, you're right. I'll stop complaining about this. And Deku says, that's the spirit. And he basically shakes Deku's hand and he actually just walks off the stage. Saying that it was more impressive to see that Shiso didn't... Oh, sorry about that. It showed that Shiso didn't need to fight at all to actually believe in himself. Sure, does a couple of heroes not want to pick him anymore because he just gave up easily? Of course, but it means that he grew up just a little bit. He now has to use different tactics now if he wants to go against somebody like Deku or anybody to that extent. So now after all that, we head off to, Deku versus what's his face? Todoroki. Give me a second here, people. Now, what happens after the whole thing with Todoroki and Deku? He basically has this, angry look in his face, looking at Deku, thinking to himself, I'm going to make sure that you lose with my power, not his power. I'm going to use my ice, not his fire. And Deku says, no, Deku is in the ring already, and everybody's like, Deku was an honorable person. At first, they thought that he was just rude towards everybody else, but he actually has honor in his heart. And with the whole thing, speaking of honor, Bakugo pretty much does what he did already with El Chaco. And, while fighting Uraraka, basically, he does the whole explosions thing, but he actually just pushes her using a bit of one for all back already to the back, so that way she doesn't have to hurt herself. Bakugo tells her that she did good, and yeah, all that good stuff. Now, everything else happens in canon, basically the whole fight. So, what's going to happen in this fight is Todoroki just says, as much as I want to actually fight you on a real battle, I have to end this quickly. And Deku says, wait, what does he mean? And we all know what he means, because Deku pretty much gets shot off with a bunch of ice, and Deku says, I need to protect myself. But all he has is a shield, but he remember he has also another shield, so it basically just puts them in a horizontal path, pushing as hard as he can, so that way he doesn't actually get hit with ice. And while this happens, he just turns his shields into the swords, the blades of chaos. And this is when Todoroki says, This is a good fight, Izuku, but you were no match for me to begin with. And Todoroki just sees light emanating from the center of the ring. Because he was going to run towards Deku. Deku was going to run towards him, but he got shot off with ice. So everybody sees this. What I'm trying to say is that everybody sees what Deku's aura or his light. That's actually the blades of chaos just burning through everything. And Deku is just like slashing through it. And after that, he has a good path. He basically is using it now wildly. Or he's using it to its full extent by making the blades of chaos burn even brighter. And while burning it brighter, he's actually destroying the ice now and cutting it off. Well, cutting bits and pieces, and then running in his path, basically cutting it, and then grabbing his fist and just grabbing his fist and slamming it down to the ground, or not to the ground, to the ice, breaking it off. Actually, the debris, or not the debris, the ice blocks and all that stuff that he broke off hits Todoroki, and Todoroki says, "What's the meaning of this?" And Deku says, "I'm going to use half of my power as well." And he pretty much just starts waving the blades of chaos around himself, saying, "Do you want to fight now?" Todoroki says, "How dare you? Why are you going easy on me?" And Deku says, "I can ask you the same question." And this is when Todoroki stops and says, "I already told you, I'm not going to use my father's side." And Deku looks at him with a stern look. Only a father could ever give to a son, but a friend to another friend. Deku says, "Don't be an idiot. Your father is not the one here using that's about to use his fire. He can't control the fire that you have. You talk about the ice as if you talk about the ice, claiming it to be all yours. But whose ice is that really? Whose ice did you get it from?" And while basically Deku is telling him, like, "Whose ice is this?" And he says, Todoroki says, this was his mother's quirk. And he's basically saying, my mother had this quirk, and it was beautiful, and all that stuff. And then, this is when he points at freaking Endeavor. He says, "This man, he is the cause of all this." And he basically talks about his whole story and tells Deku, like, what had happened. And this is when Deku says, "Is that really the case?" And he says, "Yes." And this is when Deku says, "You are a bigger idiot than I thought." Todoroki says, "What are you talking about?" Deku looks at him and says, "I understand how it feels to have a father that does that, treats you nothing more than garbage. Now, I don't understand, or I don't know your full extent with your I don't know the full extent with you and your father, but I know that my father basically took away everything that I had. He was the cause of everything from my mother's death. He was the cause of his mother's death. He also basically hurt his family. And he says he hurt this one person. He made his family believe that he made his son believe that his wife and his daughter were evil, but he didn't see that. he saw bad people. And this is when Todoroki's like, what are you saying? Deku says that my father didn't actually have that much hope for me. So I try to grasp the power through arrogance and through hatred. But I realized that my father did the same thing by grabbing it all for himself. And I decided to not walk that path. I forgive him now. But even thinking about it, it angers me. It angers me to my core that I didn't, I didn't think about stopping him. I just thought about my revenge, which led to a lot of sadness and depression. People's lives were lost. And I have to go through that pain alone. But I no longer have that feeling. Because I have people to guide me, to make me feel special. I have people that I love and care so much that I'm willing to give away my hope. I'm willing to give away my hatred, my revenge, everything in order to protect them. I'm no longer the same person that I was in the past. But now I gotta change you. And if by beating you with your own power, with your own quirks, with your own abilities, this is your power. Accept it. Do not think foolishly. Do not think this is his. This is the opposite of his. He doesn't control that fire. You do. That is not his quirk. It is your quirk, Todoroki. Use it. And make sure that you walk the path that you choose, that you feel is right. Whether you believe in him, whether you think of it as your own power or not, use it to save others. Then, and only then, you can truly say that your father couldn't control you and your quirk anymore. Todoroki crying. Deep down inside, he has that pain. It feels like it's being removed slowly and bit by bit. And Deku says, come on now, give me a fight. And now Todoroki shoots out his ice and his fire like a wild animal, just shooting it off, giving away the emotions, giving up his hatred, giving up his revenge. He now accepts it to be his. He may not be 100% comfortable with it at the moment. But he now knows that this is his power. And he's going to do what he can to beat everybody with it. And Deku smiles, stating, Todoroki, I wish me and you can become friends after this. And runs towards him and actually uses his shield and his axe, jumping up in the air and slamming his axe downwards. And after that, basically causing Todoroki's balance to fumble a bit. Him shooting out his ice at Deku, but Deku rolling around, actually dodging one of the attacks, getting hit with fire, but after that, gets out of the, pushes the fire away from him. And now he's actually slashing around, trying to hit Todoroki, but he throws his axe at him, causing Todoroki to dodge, and for Deku to actually move around. And now Todoroki's about to use his ice and fire, and Deku is close to him. He's about to shoot it on the floor, but Todoroki gets hit from behind with the axe, slashing him in his clothes, actually having a flesh wound. And this is when Deku is, well, he's actually just, protecting himself. And Todoroki is as well. But Deku grabs him and actually does a Hema throw, which it's basically, think about a German suplex, but halfway through it, he just slams him down to the ground. Or is it a Hema slam? I forget about things at times, but Deku basically just uses his power and slams his fist down to the ground, causing Todoroki to see how powerful he is, because he left a hole on the I forgot how to say it, but he left a hole through the rubble in the concrete, showing him just how strong he is, and saying he does not need to fight him anymore. And if he does, he will punch him next, and he's not gonna like the aftermath of it. So Todoroki says, "I am defeated." And Deku says, "That's good to hear." But he picks him up, and Todoroki says, "Wait, what are you doing?" Just to make sure. And basically properly drops him on the ground. Todoroki hitting his butt bone, massaging it, and says, "Ah, I thought you said it was over." And Deku says, "Yeah, but I don't know. I just had a feeling that, it was for the best." And Todoroki says, "Well, I am defeated. Well, I thought I was going to beat you, but turns out I couldn't." Deku says, "You could have, but that means that it would have to be somebody else other than me that you would have to fight." Now, give me a second here, people, because I need to... Oh boy, I need to sneeze. But still... oh man, sorry about that. Oh, that hurts. Anyway, jeez, my whole body hurts now. It feels like it's aching. Now, after that, Deku is standing there, looking at Endeavor with eyes that scream, "You truly are scum." And Endeavor says, you made him use his power. Maybe there's something within you that I haven't seen, but now I've seen it all. I want you to be his rival." And Deku, knowing that he's seen Endeavor speak, means that Endeavor's not going to be done with him yet. And now Deku just walks out of the place. The cheerleaders are cheering them on, and because Toga lost already, because he lost to she fought Ibarra, and Ibarra was already good at using her quirk, even though Toga doesn't have any way to cut her or anything like that. She pretty much tries, but she gets tangled up by the vines and all that stuff. So she kind of loses. But in the very end, she did try her best. Katsuki lost to to Bakugo. And give me a second here, people. Now I'm back. Sorry about that. My mother was kind of sick. Now I get to talk to you guys. What had happened after Deku was already done fighting with Todoroki? It was going to be Deku versus it's going to be Deku versus Bakugo now. Now, while this is happening, you know, Katsuki walks up to the two of them, and she says, "Don't try to overdo it. I mean, I don't want none of you two to get hurt." And this is when Bakugo says, "Ha! You think I'm going to lose to him? Please. I understand that, me and him are brothers, and I am going to be wary of him, but that doesn't mean anything. I have a power that's even surpassing my brother. Not only that, even though I don't accept it fully, I'm not going to use it as if this was just completely mine. I'm going to do whatever I can to win." And Deku, already getting hyped up for this, says, "Oh yeah, I got you. Don't worry, Bakugo. I'm going to beat you as well." And this is when Deku and Bakugo make a request while they are being called in. They ask for Cementos to make the ring bigger and to fortify the place. And what they mean, what they both mean is they want this thing to be as fortified as possible, because these two are going to go head to head with each other. And this is when All Might says, "Cementos, please, will you do this favor for them?" And this is when Cementos says, "Why? They're just kids. It's not like they're going to break anything." And this is when he says, "Did you not see young Izuku do what he just did to the ring?" And this is when he's like, oh yes, I remember now. And did you also not remember what young Bakugo did to his other opponents?" And this is when Cementos was like, "Okay, I think I see what you mean." Oh boy, why? What's with this, All Might? The students you're training are basically being powerhouses already at the young age of 15. And this is when All Might says, "Ha ha ha. It wouldn't be a battle, or it wouldn't be the UA Sports Festival without actually having a couple of powerhouses behind. Take for yours truly." And this is when Cementos says, "Yeah, but you're a different kind of specimen, All Might. And probably I should just do the ring right now, because who knows, to be honest. I mean, I do, but whatever." So he makes the ring bigger, and he actually fortifies the place. Not only that, having it to where people are going to are having like barricades on them. It's not barricades, but they're making sure that they're making it a little bit more higher, so that way nobody actually gets hit by rubble or debris that's going to be beheading them. That's going to befall to them, or whatever you want me to call it. So these two are off. Now Bakugo can summon the gauntlets on him. And he's basically, like I said, it's not easy for Bakugo to carry if it was just him alone. But Bakugo's using using One For All to full cowling like 20%, and he's pretty much just like holding it and carrying it around like if it was nothing more than paper. And he's running towards Deku, and Deku uses his shield and his freaking he's using his freaking I forgot what I was gonna say. He's using his shield and his freaking axe. So while these two are attacking each other, Bakugo shoots out an explosion on basically explosions on Deku, and Deku is just taking the brute force of it all. but he is being pushed back, and Deku throwing the freaking axe towards Bakugo. Bakugo dodges it all, but then after that, immediately gets hit by it, saying, "What the hell?" And Deku just grabs it, saying, I forgot to mention, my axe, it's special. And he's like, how is it special? And this is when he says, this is the axe that is made, this was made so that way it can that it's basically like Mjolnir from Norse mythology. And this is when he says, you told me about that. Are you talking about like that weird hammer that weird lightning person used? And basically the hammer went to them. And this is when Deku says, yes, exactly. Look at that, you actually do pay attention. This is when Bakugo says, screw you. And basically is running towards him, kicks Deku on his chest, and after that is up in the air, shooting out more explosions, but Deku grabbing his axe and throwing it at Bakugo at full speed, causing it to hit Bakugo, but Bakugo is protecting himself, but he's technically, his arms are kind of frozen a bit, because because Bakugo got hit by the axe does do frost damage on a lot of, on different areas, and not only that, with the frost axe being the frost axe, it technically takes up a bit of his health. And Deku just starts running towards Bakugo and chases him, grabbing him, and after that, tackling him. And Bakugo kicks him off of him, and Deku grabs him with the chain from the Blaze of Chaos and just pulls him back. And after that, does like some weird flip and then punches him straight to the ground. And then while Bakugo was getting up, Deku grabs the axe and just starts dragging it along he drags it along the floor, hitting it like if it was a golf club, swinging it up in the air, and after that, three lines of frost just start making its way to Bakugo. Bakugo jumps up, and after that punches him with the freaking gauntlet. Deku is on the ground, and he's like, oh, Bakugo, you bastard. Oh, you son of a bitch. How? Oh, that's gotta hurt. Oh, man. I forget. I may be a god, but that doesn't mean I don't feel pain. And this is when Bakugo just starts hitting, I forgot what to say. Oh yeah. Bakugo says, I'll get you for this. And Deku says, yeah, sure you are, buddy. And this is when he punches Deku, and Deku punches Bakugo, but Bakugo's taking more punishment because the Deku's not only just using his fist, he's not going 100% harsh on him. So, yeah. Now, these two are technically having a fist fight, both in their strong forms, and basically just hitting each other until Bakugo is starting to feel more bloodier and bloodier, while Deku is basically doing the same thing, but he says, I'm going to finish this. And this is when Bakugo says, not before I finish you first. And this is when Bakugo just does a roundhouse kick, using more power to it, and Deku grabs his leg and just starts spinning him around. And Deku jumps up in the air after spinning him a couple of times and slamming him down to the ground. After that, Deku grabs his axe and just slams it onto Bakugo's chest. And it's not like he kills him, but it's more the fact that he basically does a frost attack, which basically has Bakugo, hurt. He's not dead because he didn't actually hit his chest, but he hit it around like the area to where he got hit by but he got hit by, it was more like the impact of the blast than anything else. But other than that, Deku actually won. Well, Deku wins. And that's pretty much it right there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So Deku is the winner. Basically the three of the girls start running towards him. Basically they're all charging onto Deku and they're hugging him and all that stuff. And this is when Deku's like, all right. We really don't need to do all this. Not again. Not this time. And this is when Deku is like, come on now, girls. Really? We could have done this anytime around the house. We could have done this on my bed. And this is when he technically is like, oh boy. Yeah. I did not mean that. And they're like, oh no, you definitely meant that. Well, we're gonna have a fun time with Deku the next time, right, girls? And then they're all in agreement. So Deku is like, oh boy, what have I put myself through? Now I'm going to end it off here. If you like the video, please do subscribe to the channel. And not only that, share it with people that you know that will like it. But anyway, I have to go now. This has been the Fallout. What if you're here? And oh sheesh, I forgot. I'm going to do the Venom thing next. So hopefully you like it. And yeah, tell me how you feel about it. Hopefully a lot of you guys watch it because I do like the Venom thing, and I did talk to one of my like left hand. I talked to a buddy of mine, and he likes the idea, and he kind of helped me out. So yeah, shout out to Loki Uchiha, or Loki What If, says usually they'll call him. And yeah, bye.